It's about having a work environment where not only the employees thrive, but they treat your customers well. Because they can thrive, they can be generous and attentive to your customers, and stakeholders will love you for all the more for having created that type of environment.
Welcome to the Economy Creators podcast and radio show on K-Fred Lifestyle Optimization Radio. I'm your host, Mary Farias. Economy Creators spotlights real stories of entrepreneurs and creators building their own personal economies around their unique interests, talents, and experiences. If you're an economy creator and would like to be on the show, I invite you to reach out and apply to be a guest. I love meeting and spotlighting economy creators. I have a special guest, one of our co-authors in the Economy Creators Anthology, Alicia J. Alexander, MSL, and she is an executive business coach, and she partners with business owners, entrepreneurs, and corporate decision makers to strengthen leadership effectiveness, elevate workplace culture, and drive sustainable organizational performance. Alicia, welcome.
Thank you, Mary. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
I'm so glad you're here, and I am so glad that you are going to be contributing to the Economy Creators Anthology. I am so excited to see the dimension that you bring to this project because you have a wonderful, wonderful background that you have worked hard for and are providing such depth of um, information for businesses and business owners and leaders inside of their work with their employees and with their clients. So, why don't you take us through a little bit about your background and just tell the audience who you are?
Oh, wow. This is exciting. Well, I am Alicia J. Alexander, MSL, meaning that I have a Master of Science in Leadership. We'll begin there because where I projecting myself is Doctor of Education in Organizational Leadership with an emphasis on organizational development, qualitative research. That is my doctorate study program at Grand Canyon University. At the moment, I am on sabbatical because, wow, I had the opportunity to build an organizational excellence model, take some time and recoup and regroup financially and spend some time with family. And so have, I was going to say 2 out of 3 isn't bad, but I think I'm 3 out of 3 right now. I've spent time with family. I have recouped and regrouped not as much as I could. And the organizational excellence model is built, thank you God, as of April 6th, which is my late grandmother's birthday. It is uh, to give a little background on the organizational excellence model, it is an opportunity for companies with employees to demonstrate that they can be an employer of choice. And employer choice means that they can be an organization where people want to be and they feel empowered, psychologically safe to be innovative and participants of the workplace environment. And so I have taken 4 years of study and practical writing and being on podcasts and just participating in an effective way to build this wonderful organizational excellence model, which consists of the 5 pillars of organizational excellence. As most people know me as a business person, that I do purport the 5 pillars of organizational excellence. But I've also added the activation execution part of it called the 7 C's, capital letter C, in the 7 must see in business is the title. And it consists of um, clarity. We have to have clarity in business. We have to communicate. We need to collaborate. We must have courage, credibility, be consistent, and be committed to our businesses at a level of organizational excellence.
Ah, I love it. That is so good. And you know what? You the 5 pillars are key, but when you go deeper into the 7 Cs, I mean, you create such a wonderful atmosphere and a structure for companies to be able to follow so they can actually demonstrate how they value their employees, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's about having a work environment where not only the employees thrive, but they treat your customers well. Because they can thrive, they can be generous and attentive to your customers, and stakeholders will love you for all the more for having created that type of environment where there's innovation and there's participation, just the elimination of workplace instability is huge.
It
Yeah,
is. It is because grumble, 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 that's all they talk about if that's what's going on and that's what's on their mind and that they don't want to show up in a big way for their employer at that
mhm,
point. You know, if they don't feel valued, if they don't feel heard, if they don't feel like they are an integral cog in the
yeah.
system, right?
Yeah. Yes, yes. And so the organizational excellence model has three, like I said, it has three stages: the five pillars of organizational excellence, the seven must see in business, and ultimately put it all together, the organizational excellence model. And so I would love to be able to share it with you, with anybody who is inquiring about it. And basically, to have the system in place, because it's not just it's a design system that helps executives understand their responsibility and appreciate their position within the company.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what is your background? Why did you get started and get interested in this whole thing? What is it?
Oh, I can, if you can imagine being a young person on their first job and just being ready to learn and to gain knowledge about their industry. That was me in 1989. I was in my early 20s. I had a wonderful manager for my first manager, but however, the corporate shift. What is the corporate shift? It is when something happens within the workplace that no one anticipated, but affects everyone. And so we had the corporate shift happening to the on the job. And what happened was that all the managers got switched around. So my second manager was not as effective. That's how I choose to use that word right now. As an adult, it was a different word back then as a kid, but wasn't as effective as the first manager was. This person was very hands-on, very micromanaging, and didn't allow for growth to take place the way we need to have growth in the workplace. And so I overheard this person say, "Oh, we just bring them in young and burn them out." And it was not much longer from that point that I actually had that job. So um, I guess I got burnt out.
Yeah. Guess the system worked.
From that person's perspective,
Right.
but I swore to myself, if I ever got to a place where I can change things for someone and create a work environment where all, the young person, the returning professional, the seasoned executive can all thrive, I would. And my doctor of education and organizational leadership with an emphasis on organization development allows me to have that opportunity, and I'm so grateful for it.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And This is the Economy Creators podcast. And so it makes so much sense for any business owner and any person who is in a managerial position or a leadership position to really tune into these five pillars. So the first one is neuro leadership. So what does that mean?
Being able to create through words a psychologically safe work environment for your employees, allowing them to not necessarily fully express themselves ostentatiously, but to gain understanding, being who they are, that doesn't matter gender or whatever classification they call themselves, but to gain an opportunity to be innovative under the guidance of their leadership.
Yeah.
So not withholding who they are, but being guided through words, through empowerment by the leadership to develop in the company. And that's the
So So that would be developing on the path within the company so they can promote themselves essentially throughout, but also express their uniqueness. Is that part of this?
yes. I mean, in the present time that we're recording this, we have a lot of exclusion of DEI, and I'm not a portent of DEI, but people are different. We're not all the same. And so if we're going to work in the same work environment, we need to have uh, EI, EQ, understanding of one another, emotional intelligence, emotional quotient of interacting with each other, having some um, emotional understanding, collaboration. Those are the key words that, I mean, like my seven must see in business. Collaboration, being able to work together well. Um, we're not constraining one another, but at the same time, we're not, um, we're being generous and with understanding where each other have come from, because we never know what someone has gone through in their lifetime.
Yeah.
Understanding that value, it says that we must use some understanding with each other in the workplace.
Yeah, yeah. So what's the second one is neuromanagement. So what's the difference between neuro leadership and neuro management?
It's the systems that we use, management systems that are built on psychological safety, neuroscience, um, and because of that, we have the flow of the neuro leadership. So those two work together.
I see. I see. And then of course, I love this authentic appreciation.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Authentic appreciation is one of my favorite of the five pillars, because we recognize that not everyone receives appreciation the same way. There are five basic uh understanding of how people appreciate, and this work flows from Dr. Gary Chapman. And he has two books, the Love Languages book, and he also has the corporate book called The Five Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace. I'm a student of his work, and he partnered with Dr. Paul White to create that book. So the corporate book. So understanding that they are basically the same in appreciation values in both books, both personal and corporate. However, when it comes to the fifth value, which is physical touch, in the workplace, we just call it a good firm handshake, pat on the back, a high five, or fist bump.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But but to just name all five of the appreciation languages, I'll just do it real quick. The first one is words of affirmation. I'm a words of affirmation person. You can do me anything, but you say a nice word to me, you're forgiven completely. You know, um, quality time, what acts of service, um, tangible gifts, and the physical touch.
Mhm. Yeah, because you're right. People receive praise, compliments, appreciation in so many different ways. What someone might receive in quality time, someone else would more appreciate the recognition, the verbal recognition, right? And so I think that that's wonderful. So do you tie into and encourage leadership to use all of them?
Yes, because not everyone is going to be able to see it the same way. So the way Mary would receive appreciation is not necessarily the way Alicia will receive appreciation. So it's highly important to understand, and there are assessments that can help you gain that knowledge, which appreciation belongs to that person. How do they receive appreciation? I know of cases where people have been terrified of the appreciation where, you come up stage and you get a plaque and everything like that. They'll not show up for that event because that's not their appreciation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good to experiment, isn't it? As a
I,
leader?
I don't know if it's experimenting, but we do have what we call the managing bias appreciation assessments. And
Oh.
as a group, you take that assessment, you find out whose appreciation languages belongs to who, and to act on that. Um, or you don't even have to do the assessment. You just talk about, hey, how do you feel? What makes you feel appreciated more in the workplace or even in life? And how do you receive appreciation? Just have a discussion about that.
Mhm.
We do assessments in work places because HR is my background, and so we have work assessments. As we all know that, let that be one of the questions that you have to ask your employee.
Yeah. Well, and I think it even would go a long way with the employee by just simply asking the question and listening to the answer.
Yes, 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 absolutely. I agree with that.
Yeah, I love that. So the last one, or nope, not the last one. The fourth pillar is workplace forgiveness. This sounds like an important one, Alicia.
Yes, it is. Um, right now in the workplace in America alone, never mind the rest of the countries, there is at least 1 million acts of workplace instability in any given day in the nation.
Wow. So what is let's just define workplace incivility at this point.
Okay. In workplace instability is any action that will demise the coworker, employee within the organization. Um, it could be physical, it could be verbal, but it is something set to demise that person. And it takes a half an hour to recover from one act of incivility, workplace incivility. Um, Now, understanding that it takes a half an hour to recover, how much productivity are we losing one day because that's that much workplace instability happening?
Wow.
Mm. People are getting hurt for no reason. Some people are physically sick to come to work. I know of a couple people who said that, they got to the place where to think about work would terrify them, and so instead of allowing those actions to take place, we need to come to a place where conversations can take place and determine, okay, we understand we don't always come from the same backgrounds and we don't know what happened to you as within your background, but workplace instability is not acceptable here in this establishment. And if there's a problem, talk about it. Don't don't hold it in. Don't um, allow it to be a problem that's unsolved.
Yeah. So would the first step of workplace forgiveness be voice it?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes. Make sure that if there's a concern. Um, I know someone who was molested at an early age, and that is part of, not knowing what has happened to someone. Therefore, we should all act with compassion in the workplace. Work with uh, understanding emotional intelligence (EI) in order to have a harmony in the workplace.
Mhm.
You don't have to divulge what happened to you. You don't need to say, "Oh, I was beaten by my parents," or whatever. But at least, if there's a problem, find someone to discuss it with. And if there's workplace instability, just bring it up to a person of authority to resolve the issue, and let's practice this workplace forgiveness, because we don't know what has happened to someone in the background.
Mhm.
Hence, as we work together, we solve the problem of uh, identification. Being able to identify, hey, person is a male, person's a female. Their um, emotional intelligence quotient needs to be as such as this equal dealing and equal understanding on within the workplace.
Mhm. I was going to say that it seems to me that the workplace forgiveness happens before it's more of an understanding as an attitude before it any incivilities can arise. So it's
It's
really preemptive rather than reactive, right?
right, right. It's setting a foundation that these are the rules in this establishment, and so this is what we're going to tolerate, and this is what's acceptable.
Yeah.
We don't need to, we don't need to divulge into your background, but here's the rules, and let's live by them.
Yeah. I like that. I think I think we could all use a little bit of this, don't you? In society at large. I want to step away from the interview for just a minute. Alicia is speaking here about workplace forgiveness. I believe that forgiveness is an important topic to highlight, whether it is in the workplace or in life in general. In the realm of personal and professional development, forgiveness is key to moving into a new and greater version of yourself. There is an aspect of letting go of your former self and circumstances to move into a new reality. Bob Proctor defines forgiveness as letting go of completely, abandon. This doesn't mean that what had transpired in the past is blatantly ignored, but it does mean moving forward from it and not allowing it to define you into your future. The Buddha is credited for sharing a metaphor that likens anger to a hot coal that you are intending to throw at someone else. You are the only one who gets burned. Forgiveness is the remedy to this. When we hold on to anger, resentment, disappointment, we are only hurting ourselves. No one but the person holding these feelings is experiencing these negative frequencies. And through the principle of vibration, the person on these frequencies attracts similar experiences, keeping them stuck in a cycle of anger, resentment, and disappointment. Mary Morrissey speaks of helping a gentleman forgive his best friend for having an affair with his wife. She tells him that if he can get to a place where he can wish the man well, then he will have achieved forgiveness and he will be able to move on. Holding on to these negative feelings only keeps us stuck in the negative. I challenge you to notice if there is anything that you need to move on from and think about how you can get to the point of letting it go. Not for anyone else, but for you. Let's return to the interview. And the fifth pillar is organizational trust.
Transparency 100% from executive boardroom to the janitor. Transparency and just um because trust is not built in one day. There's not one act that can say that leads to full trust. It's a 365 experience of having transparency and respect within the workplace to have organizational trust. And the benefit of that is when a corporate shift happens, we have enough trust in one another to know, hey, we're going to make it through this. It's not something that's going to be a mark on your career because there's a corporate shift. I wish I had known this when I was younger.
Yeah.
I made it through to this stage of my life, so I didn't do too bad.
So when this framework comes together, so if and when you come into a corporation or a business and you work with, I assume you work with the leadership, or do you work with all of the employees?
I work with leadership first because you have to have corporate buy-in. Once you have a corporate buy-in and they see the value of it, with with their understanding, then I can work with the entire organization.
Mhm.
That's the most ultimate goal, to work with the entire organization to understand how each level interacts with one another and fulfills the corporate mission and vision within that specific goal.
Yeah. Well, a healthy organization certainly lends to a healthy economy, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And hence the economy creators, right?
That's right. That's right. So, Alicia, you are a co-author in the anthology. So, are you going to share this entire framework? Are you going to share pieces of it or stories of it? What is your intention?
Uh, well, there's two phases, but the entire organization, how it comes together, the entire organization model as it comes together. Yes, the entire thing is going to be.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's going to be so helpful for so many people.
And with graphic images like that.
Fabulous. I love it. I love images. I'm excited.
Yes.
So what is one thing, Alicia? I know something about you when you why you became an entrepreneur from young on. You wanted to be an entrepreneur. So do you want to share just a little bit about the story of how you just wanted to become one and who your inspiration is?
Oh, yes. Yes. My grandfather, Samuel Nero, God rest his soul. Yeah, he lived to be 100, but we lost him 13 days after, and he's in heaven now. So he was my inspiration from a little girl because my mom grew up with him being a manufacturer of quality furniture in the island of Trinidad and Tobago where I was born. And he and my dad were responsible for making sure we arrived in America legal and well established. And I'm just so grateful for my dad and my mom and my grandfather. But from the inspiration of being an entrepreneur comes from my grandfather.
Oh, I love that. I think that's so wonderful. And you have such a wonderful legacy to continue. I think that's so great.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a grandmother now myself, so I have a 10-year-old granddaughter and a 6-year-old granddaughter, and both are so beautiful. One is Trini Irish and the other one's Trini Portuguese. And yeah, they're just beautiful girls. And so I have an example to set. They set one for me. Now I have to turn around and set the example as well.
Oh, that's so wonderful. That's so wonderful. I love it.
Mhm.
So, let me ask you where the audience can get in touch with you, Alicia.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. Okay, so anybody can reach me at my mobile is 401-601-3207, and my email is Alicia at makeadifferenceconsulting.com. Thank you.
Oh. Make a Difference Consulting. I think that that's a great title.
Trying to make a difference.
Yes, of course, of course. I think it's so important because a lot of people go into leadership because of what they know, but they don't always know how to manage people, right? Is that what you find?
Yeah, I mean, as far as um interacting with leadership, sometimes leadership get thrown in, not thrown, but good put into situation where they don't feel equipped to lead as they ought to in an organization. So I welcome companies or organizations who need to train their leaders to be effectively positive and encouraging and empowering for their staff. Yes, it's great to get that promotion, and we all want that promotion. But are you ready to lead effectively? And if you're not, at least out there, make a difference consulting.
That's right. That's right. Well, and I've identified that in order to be a strong leader for other people, you first have to be able to lead yourself, aren't don't you?
Yes, yes. I think that leading oneself is so important. Both physically, um, as humans, we're created in three dimensions. We have a spirit, we have a soul, we have a body. Take care of your body, get the exercise, eat well, um, set your thoughts on things that are wholesome for you because thoughts lead to action. So what you're feeding yourself, if you're sitting there and watching quote unquote garbage on TV, that's garbage in, garbage out. But if you're watching something that's inspiring and wholesome, that's inspiring in and that's unwholesome in, and that's what you'll produce. So that's one way you can lead yourself. Spiritually, um, I know well some people are of faith and some people are not. So I'm gonna respect those both sides. But empower yourself by r- tying into something that would recognize that, there is something bigger than you that can help you develop.
So, Alicia, this has been so great for the audience to get to know you as one of the co-authors. What is something that you would like to leave the audience with a parting thought, or do you have any encouragement or anything that you would like to leave the audience with?
Well, here at Make a Difference Consulting, we always say through organizational excellence, together, meaning the organization and myself, together, we make a difference. How do we make a difference? By really touching the lives of people that we come into contact on the job, off the job, but we still make a difference.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, I know that you make a difference in my life, and so I thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Mary. I really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you for being here. And thank you for listening. Are you an economy creator? Join me for my free Economy Creators Workshop the first week of every month. And if you're interested in being on the Economy Creators podcast and radio show here on KFred Lifestyle Optimization Radio, please reach out and apply. I can't wait to meet you.